But why? Why would anyone submit to such a grim fate, to have a hole blasted into their skull, to stare into the abyss of pain and survival? What hope could such a desperate measure offer? The allure of trepanation lay not in its promise of reprieve, but in the seductive whisper of a chance, however slim, to ease the torment that gnawed at the soul. For ailments of the mind, it offered a portal to expel malevolent spirits, to drain the swamp of madness that festered within. And sometimes, just sometimes, it worked. Migraines, those relentless poundings of the skull, might find temporary truce. Seizures that threatened to consume the afflicted might find a shattered calm. But success was a fickle mistress, a phantom limb of hope that vanished as quickly as it came. More often than not, the process was a gamble with fate, a harrowing ordeal fraught with peril at every turn. The risk of infection loomed like a spectre, a lurking predator ready to pounce on the weakened, a fate worse than the torment that drove them to the procedure in the first place. Death, too, was a constant guest, lurking at the edge of consciousness, waiting to claim the unwary. It was a tightrope walk over the chasm of mortality, where life and death waltzed in macabre embrace. The aftermath of trepanation could be a descent into a living hell, a torment both physical and psychological that left its victims shattered and broken. Even when the procedure held the promise of relief, the road to recovery was treacherous. Imagine emerging from the haze of anesthesia to find your world distorted, your senses reeling from the violation of the skull's sanctity. The pain of a fresh wound, compounded by the disorientation of a mind grappling with its own fragility. Then the fear set in, a cold dread that seeped into the marrow as you grappled with the raw reality of your existence. The sight of the gaping hole in your skull, a grim trophy of a desperate gamble, could send shivers down the bravest spine. In the dim oil lamplight of monasteries or the hushed corners of history's grand halls, tales of trepanation were whispered like prayers against oblivion. Rulers and scholars alike sought solace in its spectral glow. King Charles VI of France, plagued by the tremors of Parkinson's disease, turned to this ancient rite as a last-ditch effort to quell his shaking hand. Emperor Shah Jahan, the man who built the Taj Mahal, found himself a prisoner of his own mind, driven to trepanation to banish the demons that haunted his imperial court. Trepanation wasn't merely a physical act. It was a surrender to the unknown, a leap of faith into the heart of darkness. Each step echoed with the ghosts of those who dared before, their hopes, their agonies, their fates. As we peer into the abyss of history, we find ourselves confronted by the echoes of a haunting reminder of humanity's relentless struggle against the confines of flesh and bone. From the rugged highlands of Scotland to the sun-drenched shores of ancient Greece, the story of trepanation is a tapestry woven with threads of pain, hope, and the unyielding spirit of survival. But as the mists of time recede, we're left with more questions than answers. What drove these cultures to such drastic measures? What secrets did they hope to unlock through the excruciating process of trepanation? And what can we learn from their struggles to understand the boundaries of the human experience? The story of trepanation is a labyrinth that leads us deeper into the recesses of the human condition. It is a journey that forces us to confront our deepest fears and to marvel at the tenacity of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable challenges. As we navigate this labyrinth, we're reminded that the line between sanity and madness, between hope and despair, is often a razor-thin margin. We re-invited to contemplate the nature of pain and the lengths to which we might go to alleviate it. And ultimately, we re-challenged to appreciate the fragility and resilience of the human spirit in the face of life's most harrowing trials. High in the Andes, where the wind howls like a mourner's lament, the Inca carved their legacy into bone with a precision that defies the ages. Skulls unearthed from ancient soil revealed multiple holes, some rimmed with the tender regrowth of life, proof that death did not always claim its due. Obsidian blades and bronze scrapers moved in slow, deliberate circles, peeling back layers of bone over hours of anguished labor. The air thrummed with the weight of ritual, the patient's survival a fragile thread in a tapestry of skill and chance. Scholars whisper of success rates soaring as high as 70%, a number that hangs like a spectre over modern minds. How could such crude hands wield such power over life across the vast plains of Africa? Trepanation answered the cries of warriors broken by combat. Head wounds gaped like mouths spilling crimson, and healers stepped into the breach, their tools blunt but determined. Herbal poultices clung to the air with their earthy tang, while incantations rose in a desperate bid to chase away spirits lurking in the blood. In the Pacific Islands, too, the practice took root, skulls bearing silent witness to a craft as widespread as it was varied. Each culture shaped trepanation to its own dark vision, yet all sought the same elusive prize, a key to the mind's locked chambers, a way to heal what festered unseen. Centuries later, the drill's echo resounded in an unexpected place, England, 1970, where Amanda Fielding, an artist with a soul as restless as a storm-tossed sea, turned the blade on herself. Convinced that trepanation could flood her brain with vitality, she filmed her own hand guiding a drill through her skull, her reflection a mask of defiance and dread. Blood smeared the lens as she breached the bone, and she later spoke of a calm that settled like dusk, a clarity that sharpened her fractured mind. Science scoffed, branding her claims a delusion, yet her uproar, reckless and real, cast a long shadow, a modern hymn to an ancient obsession. She was not alone. In the haze of the 1960s and 70s, others followed, a fringed chorus of seekers chasing relief from depression's suffocating shroud, or the spark of genius dulled by mortal flesh. Their stories flicker like candlelight, some found fleeting solace. Others, only deeper darkness, but proof remained elusive, a ghost slipping through reason's grasp. The medical world turned away, wary of a practice that danced too close to chaos, yet the allure lingered, a whisper of what might lie beyond the skull's brittle wall. Danger was trepanation's constant companion. Infection crept like a thief in the night, brain damage loomed like a guillotine's blade, and death waited patiently in the wings. In ancient days, without the mercy of antiseptics, survival was a miracle snatched from ruin. Even now, to pierce the skull is to court peril, to gamble with the body's fragile sanctum. A 16th-century surgeon, Ambrose Pare, penned tales of this tightrope, walk patients rising from the table as if reborn, others sinking into graves, dug by fever or hemorrhage. His words, stained with awe and sorrow, paint a world where healing and harm were twinned, inseparable as light and shadow. Now, 4,000 years after the Inca, the drill bit sings its siren song again, no longer a whisper, it's a clamor. Neurosurgeons wielding the scalpel, not for life extension, but in the pursuit of the mind's elusive essence. They dissect the very core of being, seeking answers in the folds of grey matter. And what do they find? The echoes of trepanation's ancient dream, a window into the soul. Dr. James L. Walker, a pioneer of modern describes it as a journey into uncharted seas, a voyage that may rewrite the story of humanity. What will they find on their journey? The answer lies hidden in the deepest recesses of the brain, in the folds and valleys of the prefrontal cortex, an area associated with the very essence of our humanity, our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It is here, in this enigmatic region, that the secrets of trepanation may finally be unlocked, offering a glimpse into the profound mysteries of the human mind. Will they uncover the truth behind the allure of trepanation? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the story of once thought to be a relic of the past, is now being rewritten in the annals of modern science. As we delve deeper into the enigma of the human brain, we may just find that the answers we seek have been staring at us all along, hidden in plain sight beneath the surface of our skulls. Trepanation, the word itself, a dull thud like the stroke of a heavy mallet on a metal tray, a surgical procedure so brutal it sounds like a punishment from an age when skulls were cracked not just to mend minds, but to punish souls. In the dark theater of history, such barbarity must surely be condemned, right? Well, not so fast. Behind the grim facade of trepanation lies a flicker of humanity's first, hesitant steps towards deciphering the brain's intricate language. Imagine a world where every ache and fever was blamed on an imbalance of humors, where illness meant an affront to the gods. In this chaotic ballet of cures, trepanation stood out, a jarring solo of violence. But even in its bloodied spectacle, there is a story of quiet courage. These weren't deities being defied, but fellow humans, trembling mortals just like you and me, about to embark on a journey into the unknown. No anesthesia to dull the pain, no sterile tools to guard against infection, just the chilling certainty that what follows will either bring healing or death. To those early surgeons, the human skull wasn't just bone, it was a puzzle box containing the very essence of life, the seat of the soul. To drill a skull then was more than a physical act. It was a plunge into the psyche's abyss, a negotiation with the divine spark within. And who were these daring souls who stepped up to the drilling table? What drove them to breach the mystery of the mind? Often desperate parents, their children writhing in pain, their minds clouded by maladies that turned everyday life into a battlefield. Was the operation a gamble? Oh, absolutely. A misstep could mean a quick trip to the afterlife, but for many, it was a chance worth taking. After all, what was the alternative? Watching your loved one succumb to seizures that stole their very humanity, day by agonizing day. As for the procedure itself, let's just say it was a far cry from modern medicine's sleek precision. Imagine a world where doctors wielded rudimentary tools, where trepanation meant more than just drilling a hole in the skull. It was a cosmic act of intervention, a direct engagement with the celestial forces that controlled the human experience. And what followed the procedure? More uncertainties, more leaps of faith. Would the evil spirits plaguing the patient find another entry point? Would the drilled skull leave the patient exposed to the elements, both literally and metaphorically? These were the questions that haunted the postoperative period, making each passing day a victory against the darkness. But the most crucial question of all, does trepanation deserve its sinister reputation? Or are the tales of its brutality exaggerated by centuries of unease towards anything that disturbs the sanctity of the human cranium? The answer, as with most things in life, is a nuanced gray area. Yes, trepanation was brutal, but so were the conditions under which it was performed. To truly judge its brutality, we must weigh its outcomes against the alternatives available at the time. And on that count, trepanation emerges not as the most merciful option, but certainly the most hopeful. After all, it addressed the root cause of the ailment, not by appeasing spirits or balancing humors, but by directly confronting the afflicted brain. Today, trepanation might seem like a relic of the distant past, a historical curiosity best left undisturbed, but its spirit lives on in the operating rooms of our time. Modern neurosurgery owes a debt to those early trepaners, those pioneers who dared to dream of healing minds. Even in the darkest days of this bloody practice, some patients did survive, their stories like islands of hope in a stormy sea. And isn't that the essence of any medical procedure, however terrifying? The promise of hope amidst the stark reality of pain and suffering. In the end, trepanation's legacy is a bittersweet symphony. It reminds us of humanity's indomitable spirit, its relentless pursuit of knowledge and healing. But it also underscores the cost of that pursuit, the lives lost and the scars left behind. Its story is a somber requiem for those who fell to the drill, a testament to the enduring mystery of the human brain and an eternal search for the soul's salvation.